Hello everyone, welcome to TGJ Talks, foreign football, put it that way, and it's just tea, unfortunately, at the moment. So yeah, it's like every Wednesday I'm going to film on these, just like talking and you see what's going on and around Europe in all the main leagues and Scotland, and then there'll be other ones about like other sports and Premier League and Championship ones. Except the Europe ones also got lower league, English lower leagues in as well. So yeah, if you want, leave comments. If you want, you can leave a comment below, and if you want a point to be talked about in next Wednesday's episode, then feel free. Let's get it started. So the first league we're going to go into detail with is Bundesliga, and first thing we're going to talk about is Lucien Favre failing with Dortmund. So I know a lot of you might have seen, but obviously Lucien Favre has been sacked by Borussia Dortmund after a horrific 5-1 loss at home to Stuttgart. He was sacked on, it was either Monday or Tuesday, and they've recently had another game where they beat Hertha Berlin 2-1. So they've had a middly start. They're on 22 points after 4 games. No, not after 4 games. Fourth in the table at the moment as it stands. But you just feel they're not strong this year because Sancho is not the same Sancho as last season. And other players like Berkey is having a little bit of a shocker in goal this year, and they just don't know what to do about it really. And Jude Bellingham, and when I saw him against for Birmingham, I didn't think he was worth it. He has gone into that midfield and he's trying to do an absolute job. He is at the moment the best player in that German team, and for some reason he isn't playing 90-90. Might be to do with stuff like that. Marco Reus doesn't look himself. Fluent football. I think Marco Reus is one of the best players ever, and he just doesn't look with it. And that's why Dortmund are failing. But their win against Berlin with no proper manager was a very good result for them. Keeps them in touch. Moving on, RB Leipzig starting really well this year under another season under Julian Nagelsmann, and fully deserved to beat Manchester United the first time round. Leipzig Man United, when they were done 5-0 at Old Trafford, I thought, how are these lot in the Champions League? I thought they're missing. They lost Werner, and I thought he was a key player. But this year, they're starting to rise up. They've got a solid foundation with Upamecano and Mukele. Julian Nagelsmann, despite his erratic dress sense, is also becoming a very good manager in the level he has. He's had to prove himself even more this season and is so far doing a very good job. And they sit in third place, I believe, joint with Bayern Munich. I think they're strong. I mean, obviously Germany's gone straight back into a national lockdown. I think that will suit Leipzig because the style they play is a very swift and fluent one. But the problem is, a little bit like Jose Mourinho, is that when they get the lead, they're not losing the lead. So it might become a little bit boring like within the stadium. Like if they're away from home, they'll do everything and they'll get everything back from the crowd. So yeah. So just staying on the subject of the top 4, Bayern's draw with Union Berlin. Now, Bayern have been absolutely free scoring. It's ridiculous. They score goal after goal. The opening game of the season, wasn't it 8-0 against Schalke? And I thought, you know what, it's going to be another one of those years. Lewandowski saved them on Sunday after going 1 down. And he's such a valuable player for Bayern Munich. I thought Thomas Müller, after the 2014 World Cup, would never get another look in. I thought he was past his best. The calibre of player that Bayern Munich needed then wasn't him. Him and Goretzka are identical players in every sense. They're both strong. They're both amazing, intelligent footballers. They'll always pop up with a few goals, and they know what's around them, and they're doing so well. Leroy Sané and Kingsley Coman on the wing will get you goal after goal and assist after assist. It's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. And on the subject of Lewandowski, I like that. In 200 Bayern Munich appearances, he scored 175 goals. That is a phenomenal return. After obviously he used to play for Borussia Dortmund under Jurgen Klopp. So he's doing well as well. Finally, Bayer Leverkusen always seem to do well, but no one really notices it. Obviously, like Dortmund, Leipzig, and Bayern battling out. And I saw the way they wanted to play. Look, I hate a short corner. Their first goal was a short corner to Leon Bailey, who took a couple of touches and bent it right into the top corner. Leon Bailey is a class baller. He's a class act. That's why Man United are looking at him a bit hush-hush though. And they're top of the league at the moment. And they did Hoffenheim 4-1, like, it was ridiculous. And I'm predicting them to stay there. Right, not finish top, but predicting them to stay around the top 4. Because the strength they have is really good. And their back line is as solid as ever. Their goalkeeper is phenomenal. I've forgotten his name. Haradaki. Goalkeeper is phenomenal, but there is one flaw. I saw that goal he conceded the other day. It's like a pass back from, I think it was the left back, passed it straight back to the keeper, just rolling on the floor, and then it took a bobble, managed to mishit it backwards into his own goal. And I'm sorry for this, but I saw one of my mates do that, and that's exactly what I thought of. So I'm very sorry. You know who you are. You've just been shamed, if you know who you are, if you know what I mean. So, yeah. And so, on the subject of champions, who do I think will win this league? It'd be obvious to say Bayern Munich. I'm going to have to. They are goal machines at the moment, and I think they're an amazing side. You're not beating them. But if you go and look at the other end of the table, things are not as rosy for Schalke. Sitting bottom of the table, done nothing. I think they've sacked Wagner. Wagner, you saw what he did with Huddersfield. Was he ever going to be good enough to go and work on in their minds, a top-end Bundesliga side? No, he wasn't. It's put him in so much trouble at the moment. And yeah, they could still really do with Weston McKennie though, who we'll move on to in a little bit. So yeah. But Bayern to win, Schalke definitely relegated. And even though Union Berlin got a good result, I fancy them to go down, unfortunately. They are my Bundesliga team, though. So, nice negative. Right. So we've had a bit on the Bundesliga. Now, where else can we go next but Spain? And who else can we talk about but Barcelona? This presidential campaign is going to ruin the club, and just don't know what they're doing really. Koeman's trying to do a job where he's papering over all the cracks with a 1-0 win against Levante, which he's trying to paper over the cracks. But a 1-0 victory over a side in the relegation zone after being clawed out in the 75th minute by a Lionel Messi goal, you're really going to struggle. They're on 14 points after 10 games and sitting 8th in the table. Is the title race already gone for them? I think Real... I think Atletico will run away with it. Away from Barcelona. It's ridiculous. Messi... They've come out with a statement saying Messi will have to leave either in the summer or now because his wage bill is non-sustainable. Because obviously having to take a pay cut after Bartomeu left. So PSG are eyeing him up. Man City have still got interest, but official sources state that PSG have already told stores to be ready for printing Messi on the back of the shirts for PSG. So don't know what's going on here. But the thing is, like 8th in the table is not good enough, and Levante are really struggling this year. I thought they'd start to push on this year, but unfortunately they're sitting there, and Barcelona are just... Are they going to win it this year? No. Are they going to win it next year? No. That's how I see things at the moment. They've got a really tough clash tonight against Real Sociedad. Flying high at the moment. Yeah, so I might as well go on to that now. Real Sociedad have one loss in the league after 13 games. I don't know what to say about that. Like, they're fluent, they're rhythmic, they're amazing. In the form table, they are the best side away from home with, I think it's 7 wins, or 6 wins and 1 draw, or something like that. And their back line this year, they've had 8 clean sheets out of 13. 8 out of 13, which is sublime. And I'll tell you this now, they made it through to the next round of the Europa League. They'll fancy their chances against a rubbish Man United side. And I think that they will provide a very stern test, especially at Old Trafford. Because as we know, Man United don't perform at Old Trafford, and they've got the best away form in the Bundesliga. That can make for a really interesting tie. Do Manchester United have it away from home? Just so long as they don't go into the second leg losing, I think Man United will scrape it, but they've got to fancy their chances, Real Sociedad. Getting through a tough group. And do I see them staying in the title race? There's a chance. I don't think they'll win it. I think they'll finish automatic Champions League. They're a class outfit. I thought that losing Odegaard would really harm them. But instead, they've just brought up other players, and it's just I think they're gonna be up there. But Zinedine Zidane has billed another side as favourites, and you wouldn't think you'd be thinking that he said Real Madrid. But before the Madrid derby, he thinks Atletico are favourites for the title because of Real Madrid and Barcelona's slump. It's hard to disagree with that. Despite the fact Real Madrid performed a masterclass and beat them 2-0, they're on the same amount of points, and Atletico have got 2 games in hand. Atletico are evolved. Diogo Simeone was one of those players that liked to kick people up in the air. And, for example, he asked, because everyone thought of him, like, start of the season, are Atletico Madrid a different side to the one that beat him, that won the league a few years ago? And the answer was, he said, no, because they've evolved. They always do the same things, but they evolve their manner of play, despite the fact they stay physical and they stay quite speedy up front. And Luis Suarez is a bargain. If you're paying $2 million for Luis Suarez, you know there's something wrong. And he's just goal machine. There's no other way to put it. Him and João Felix will perform a partnership for 3 years easily. And I think Luis Suarez has got it the tough way out, Barcelona, but going to Real Madrid, Atletico Madrid even, will do him a lot of good. And yeah, hopefully we might be able to see him back in the Premier League in the very near future. Right, so that's our little Bundesliga, goodness me, Ligue 1 chat. And now we are going into the lower tiers of English football. So, 5-star Charlton on the rise. In League 1, Charlton Athletic have had numerous owner problems. Everyone knows that. They've always struggled on the owner problem front, and new owner Thomas Sandergaard has come in, and he's doing an amazing job. And he's responsibly putting money in, because the past couple of owners have had Charlton for a very short amount of time. And what have they done with it? They've taken money and used it for themselves. Thomas Sandergaard is not that type of person. He's a very good person to leave Charlton in the future. He knows a lot about football, and he's spending money and doing football the right way at Charlton. And you have to admire him for that, because they were in a very precarious position. They're back in League 1. And they beat AFC Wimbledon 5-2. So the AFC Wimbledon first goal was very special. But also Connor Washington put in one top bins for Charlton. And that's just they're a good side. They're getting somewhere. They were supposed to have a game last night, but Bristol Rovers had too many COVID cases, and so therefore couldn't play. But otherwise they're in a strong position. While Sandergaard's around, they have a chance. I think they'll go up automatically. If they don't, apparently he says that they'll be going up automatic next weekend. So, they beat Wimbledon 5-1 the weekend. So definitely 5-star. And then on to League 2. Oldham Athletic. Right, we knew where this was going. I thought they would pick it up form, but they lost 3-2 last night. And I think, what was it? Josh Rowe. Tommy Rowe or something like that. He is an absolute steal from Fylde. He's a very good footballer, and when he was playing Hampton in the FA Cup first round, that it's Danny Rowe, isn't it? Danny Rowe. Is chop and then finish into the top corner. It was just something to be admired. He left 2 people on the floor and sent the keeper packing. It was a thing of beauty. And from then, he's just had a burst of confidence. He just can't stop scoring. And that's been the problem with them doing well. Yeah, Harry Kuehl has picked up in management after struggling right at the start. But what more could you want? Only lost 3-2 last night. But other than that, they were really struggling in League 2, and they've finally started to pick up. Now into the National League, we'll talk about the current league leaders, Torquay United, who had a minor setback against Dagenham and Redbridge last night. I think they've looked very strong, and if they keep going and doing what they're doing, then they have a chance. They have a serious chance to go up this year. I think, look, whenever a side has a stadium the size they do for the National League, and the National League's out from that, full time, properly done, managed by Gary Johnson of all people, old professional League 1 manager who did quite a few good jobs in places. So it's him, and then you've got that, and Wealdstone is surprising me at the moment. They went up from the National League automatically, and they're packing in Grosvenor Vale and making teams feel intimidated at the moment, and you don't want to go to Grosvenor Vale in the form that Wealdstone are in at the moment, because they're just on a burst, and it's not very nice to see as a Hampton fan, because they try to beat us all up, but we don't talk about that. So yeah. And anything else going on in the National League? Not really. We move on to the National South now. St Albans have started really strongly. They're currently unbeaten in the league after 10 games and sitting pretty at the top of the league. Ian Allinson's been with them for quite a long time now, and he's still getting things right with them. And that's what you want. If a manager's been with you for a long time and you're not getting things right, maybe look for the sack, but he's still managing to get things right, and St Albans have always been fast starters in the league. It's no surprise they're sitting top and unbeaten. It's just whether they can sustain that. If they can, they'll go up. And yeah, but another side hasn't played many league games, but is also in the mix, is Havant and Waterlooville. And they've revamped under Paul Doswell. So they're doing well as well. Obviously, we have to talk about Hampton. And so, unfortunately, they've had a COVID test, meaning they've had to withdraw from the FA Trophy. So unfortunately, they've had to do that. But look on the positives. They've started well in the leagues. They are 5 unbeaten away from home and playing very well. They beat Billericay 6-2 recently. And you don't know what's happening with everyone, but otherwise, I'd give them a chance. Not just from a biased point of view. Some of the players that have been really struggled last year, have come into their own this year. For example, Sam Deadfield, who I thought was not very good last year, come into his own. But the first game we allowed back, he did struggle a little bit. But I'm pretty sure it's just a one game off. And Terrell Miller-Rodney's been a really influential part of the team this year, despite the fact he got sent off stupidly in the FA Cup against Oldham when we might have had a chance for like a few minutes when we only needed one goal to take it to extra time. Apart from that, he's been an influential player, and yeah. And we have to talk about one of the highest scoring sides in English football at the moment, Hamworth Villa, scoring goal after goal after goal. I watched them against Molesey, and they won 5-0. And even then, I spoke to the manager after the game. They didn't feel they played particularly well. And they beat the side 5-0. And you just like to see that. They're in the third round proper of the FA Vars, where they will face Littlehampton Town away on Saturday. So that should make for an interesting tie. Obviously, no Hamworth fans allowed because we're obviously in Tier 3 now. So that can't happen. Want to watch them? They've played Deportivo Galicia, beat them 4-0. They had an entertaining game at Rayners Lane, where it finished 4-2. 4-2 to Hamworth. So that was a strong performance from them. And yeah, as long as they just keep it going. They have a couple of players who've played at much higher level and adding in loads of experience. For example, Michael Kamara has done really well this year for them. There's Sam Merson, who is scoring goal after goal after goal after goal after goal after goal. His brother Ben Merson. Those two are both related to Paul Merson, and you can tell where it's coming from. They're just machines, and they're a good side. And shout out to Jamie Thorogood, doesn't concede many, and Terry Buss in goal. Got a shout out to them. And yeah. Alright, now on to the Europa and Champions League and my predictions to win both tournaments this year. So obviously we've got in the Champions League, we're now through to the last 16, and I'll read out all the ties you've missed. Borussia Mönchengladbach versus Manchester City, Lazio versus Bayern, Atletico Madrid versus Chelsea, RB Leipzig versus Liverpool, Porto versus Juventus, tie of the round, Barcelona versus PSG, Sevilla versus Dortmund, and Atlanta versus Real Madrid. Now, I think tie of the round's got to be Barcelona PSG. That's going to be a tie. Barcelona really struggling, and PSG really on form at the moment. So I think I predict PSG win, but you never know in the Champions League. So obviously you've got to remember the first time really was when PSG won 4-0 at home to Barcelona, and then so it was like they must win it, but then they end up losing 6-1 at the Nou Camp to go out. So with the Champions League, you never know. So yeah, but I reckon a PSG win. And who's going to win the competition? I think either Bayern Munich, the obvious. And do I think Liverpool's in there? No, got to be Bayern Munich really. I don't particularly think anyone else is at the moment up to the standard that they are. Possibly Atletico Madrid, but Atletico Madrid and Bayern will have to play at some point. So if I pick someone out from the other half of the draw, PSG. Yeah, PSG probably. And if we go look at the Europa League for all the sides again, Wolfsberger from Austria versus Spurs, Dynamo Kiev versus Club Brugge, Real Sociedad versus Man United, Benfica versus Arsenal, Crvena Zvezda versus AC Milan, Royal Antwerp versus Rangers, Slavia Prague versus Leicester, Salzburg versus Villarreal, Praga versus Roma, Krasnodar versus Dynamo Zagreb, Molde versus Hoffenheim, Granada versus Napoli, Maccabi Tel Aviv versus Shakhtar Donetsk, Lille versus Ajax, and Olympiacos versus PSV. Tie of the round, Lille Live Ajax. Obviously the Dutch champions started well this season, but Lille currently do lead the League One table. So that will be a very interesting tie over two legs. Can't wait for that. Obviously the English sides, Sociedad Man United, I've spoken about earlier. I think Sociedad will give United a game but won't have enough. And Benfica against Arsenal, I think Benfica will win that. Arsenal really struggling at the moment, can't pull themselves together. AC Milan will beat Crevena Veda, Rangers beat Antwerp. Leicester's Europa League dream to continue beating Slavia Prague. I reckon those are my predictions. Who do I think will win that tournament? You can't look past Spurs or Man United in the top half of the draw. But in the other half, that's tough. Ajax or whoever wins Salzburg against Villarreal, I would predict. Right. So that's a little chat about the two UEFA competitions. And now into Serie A. So firstly, Pirlo's first real season in proper management. Gonna be really honest, he's made a good start. They may not be performing to Juventus's brilliant bests and the side that we all know Juventus can be. They're still top three. They beat Barcelona 3-0 on their own backyard, which you'd be pleased with any Barcelona side, doesn't matter about their quality. And he's got Ronaldo going, and Pirlo's such a good player, and I think Ronaldo actually looks up to Pirlo. One of the few people he does, because Pirlo was incredible. He always dictated the game. He always showed experience. He always popped up with a goal or two. He always knew what to do at the right times. I think Ronaldo respected him. It's hard not to. So I think Ronaldo will learn a lot off him, even at 35. So let's go on that. And then someone else who's you think would be done now, but still going, still scoring, and leading an AC Milan revolution, Zlatan Ibrahimovic. I thought he was gone ages ago. Gone from MLS to AC Milan, thought it's a publicity move really, isn't it? But no. He's 39 now, and he's top goal scorer in Serie A still. Can you ask for more than that? They're back on the rise. Obviously, they were in the Europa League last season. Think about it. The season before, they really struggled. They got like 14th, 15th, or really low on the table. And then you've got from now to last season, where they finished the Europa League. This year, I reckon they get Champions League. The sign of progression, because they're currently sitting pretty at the top of the table. Don't think they'll win it. I think that'll be Inter. I'll get onto them in a second. But otherwise, they're on the rise. They're on the march. And if you don't think they're not going to be up there, then there's something wrong with you, because they are an incredible side this year. And it's just been led so well. Like, the players that were there didn't want to be there. The players that are there want to be there. They want to fight for the shirt. Donnarumma is looking inspired. And in Italy, as it stands, there aren't that many strong sides. Or sides that are performing like a sustained attack first, and then the second, they're just going to tail off the second half of the season. But AC Milan will finish third at least. And that's if other sides pick up their game. Now on to Inter Milan, right? Antonio Conte, in 2 real seasons, you think, with Lukaku, Sanchez, Eriksen, some of the best players the Premier League has ever had to offer, that just fallen out of favour in their clubs. Next thing we know, Mesut Ozil will be heading over there. And they're in such a good position right now, because the strength of the Italian game at the moment isn't what it was like 15, 20, 25 years ago, where everyone's to go. And obviously, Diego Maradona, rest in peace, back 25 years ago playing for Napoli, that's where everyone wanted to be. Now, things are starting to tail off in the Italian game, because the strength of the league isn't as good. Do you really think certain sides will be making a challenge for most things in Europe? Apart from Juventus, I don't see it happening. Like, it's my job at the moment to look into the crystal ball, proverbial crystal ball. It's just, I don't see that happening. They can beat a mediocre Barcelona side 3-0, fine. But there's always going to be a transition year, isn't it? But let's talk about the surprise packages. Sassuolo in 5th. Absolute class. They're 5th in the league, and they're always highly entertaining. Right, 5th in the league, they've had 1 loss all season, and when I say highly entertaining, they've won 4-1 against Spezia and Cologne. And they've drawn 3-3 Torino, and they've won another game 4-3. Don't get much more entertaining than that. And 5th place, they're sitting nice in a Europa League spot. Well, Europa League qualification stage spot. Who knows? With some other teams going a little bit haywire, and you've got your usual contenders down low, then possibly they're in with a chance. Right. So, now going on to the Scottish Premier League. And first thing we're going to talk about, there's nothing else to, Celtic's demise this season. They've been an absolute shambles. They're 13 points behind Rangers. They crashed out in the League Cup to Ross County. They've gone out in the group stage of the Europa League and were entirely woeful. And they were beaten in the Old Firm 2-0 at home. Like, that's poor. That's just poor. And no excuses. That's to stop. And what else can they do but just keep picking up points? 13 points. Yes, they have 2 games in hand. What's that going to go down to? 7 if they don't mess it up. They're not going to win the league this year. They want 10 trebles in a row, I think it is. Or 10 in a row and like 4, 5, 6 trebles in a row. It's not happening. Rangers look so much better. And if I go on to them now, they're in the quarterfinals of the League Cup with a 4-0 win over Falkirk. They're still getting the best out of Jermaine Defoe, who's still scoring. He's still playing to a high quality. And Alfredo Morelos is using his aggression completely in the right cause. And they're on 47 points after 17 games. And after 17 games, they've only conceded 4 goals. That tells you the strength. Steven Gerrard's hats off. Like, that is a properly good job, because like, it just doesn't happen. And to go to Celtic Park and nick a 2-0 win, That's very good. But Celtic, back to Celtic again. Neil Lennon out, do you think? Absolutely. Neil Lennon isn't a good enough manager for the Scottish League, the way it's evolved. And second spell, I can see why the fans want him out. They've been very vocal. They've gone out to the stadium, booed, rioted. Not necessarily the greatest thing, but you can see where they're coming from. They've been miserable. They crashed out to Ross County in the League Cup. Says something at home. They named a strong side as well. And then on the final side is a steady start for Kilmarnock with 5 wins, 10 losses, 2 draws. They've been they're respectable, but recently, last 2 games, they lost to Celtic and Hamilton. They can't lose to Hamilton if they want to sustain something this season. But then again, they had 17 shots. That's a lot of shots. They haven't scored one, they lost 1-0. And yeah, I mean, good start. Alex Dyer is doing very well down there at Rugby Park. I think the transition to their Astro pitch over the past few years has been very good. They're starting to play some nice, slick football. But sides like Hamilton will start to have them figured out because they play on Astro turf, and some other sides maybe play on Astro turf, like Livingstone. It's not being used as much as an advantage with the sides that they want to be beating week in, week out, because they have sort of AstroTurf pitches as well. So maybe they want to go to grass, and you know what, risk getting demolished by teams like Celtic and Rangers who play on actual grass. But then again, they won't have as much of an advantage against like lower sides with their current AstroTurf pitch. And now, as of the end of everything, doesn't matter what it is, whichever like mini podcast it is, the manager of the week this week, I am going to pick Lucien for. Oh no, I'm joking. He got sacked. It's hard, but I'm going to have to go with Antonio Conte. Class act. Just class act. And he's toned down his mentalness on the touchline a little bit. So he's more focused as well. My player of the week, Leon Bailey, 2 goals against Hoffenheim for Bayer Leverkusen, all coming early in the game, and he's just been playing very, very well recently, and I think he has to be included. And the team of the week, going for Chesterfield with a 6-0 win against Barnet, making the Barnet manager lose his job. So yeah, that is this week's football roundup across Europe. And tomorrow I should be doing one about the Premier League, Championship and FA Cup draws. So, thank you for listening, and I will definitely see you guys later. Thanks for listening. Bye bye.